Hello everyone and welcome back to Beatles channel. Lovely to have you here. Thanks for joining me for this video and I hope you're all doing well. Now in today's video I'm going to do a follow-up video to the video I did about 4 months ago at the start of this year where I showed difficult to find vinyl albums that I'd found in 2022. Well, I've been at it again. I've picked up 4 albums that I'm going to show you today, which I think are quite difficult to find on vinyl because they kind of come from the CD era, that time where we were buying everything on CD and pretty much ignoring vinyl, or I was anyway. So I'm going to show you them. There's 2 Beatles albums and 2 Paul McCartney albums. Now 3 of these albums I've owned on CD since they came out. One of these I've never owned before, so I'm quite excited to show you that one, and we're going to get on with that in a minute. Before we do that, I just wanted to say a big welcome to all the new subscribers. I had quite a few over the last couple of weeks, so welcome to the channel. I hope you're enjoying the content here, and lovely to have you on board. Okay, so let's get on with the video. So the first album that I found, if you did see that if you did see the video that I did in January, you may remember that during that video, one of the albums that I showed you was Anthology 1 that I found in a record store in Guildford that we went to. I said that I already had Anthology 3 and now I had Anthology 1, so I only needed Anthology 2, and now I've got Anthology 2, lovely as it is. So this, as you probably know, is a triple album. It's exactly the same sort of format as the CD was, and I'll just it's, as I say, it's a triple album, and it's a trifold sleeve, which I think I'll stand up to show you. So here we've got on this side, you've got the Mark Lewison sleeve notes for sides 1 to 3, and then we've got this little collage of photographs from the era of Anthology 2, which is 1965 to just about touching early 1968. And then on the third part of the sleeve, you've got Mark Lewison's notes, sleeve notes for sides 4 to 6. A really nice sort of laminated sleeve. On the inside here, we've got this picture here, which is obviously from Sgt. Pepper. That's the introduction by Derek Taylor, and I think that is pretty much it to show you, apart from the fact that it's a kind of a strange album, because sort of disc 1 goes in there, and then disc 2 and 3 are kind of in disc 2 in there and disc 3 in that side. So I'll show you the vinyl. I'll only show you one disc because they're all the same, and they all come. Here are the three discs, and they all come in polyline sleeve. What have I got here? This is side 1. So there's the album, the side 1 of the album with the apple and the split apple on the other side. As I say, all 3 discs are the same. The only difference between them is this bit here, where it shows you which side of the record it is. The spine is looking like that, and generally this album is in pretty good condition. There is a little bit of a tear there at the top of the sleeve, and the one of the polyline sleeves has got like a split in it there, but we won't worry too much about it. I mean, obviously this album has been played, but the vinyl is really clean, and it doesn't have any sort of surface noise on it at all. So it has been played, but probably not not very much. And I'll tell you that I picked this up for about 50 quid, which I thought was a really good price for a triple album. Not as good as the 20 quid that I paid for Anthology 1, but I'm happy to pick this up at that price. I'm really glad to have Anthology 2 now, which means I have all three of the Anthology albums on vinyl. So that is Anthology 2. Now, because the albums that I'm showing in this video are those difficult to find vinyl albums, I'm hoping that a lot of you out there won't have seen these on vinyl before, so you're seeing something new or something for the first time or whatever. So the second album that I'm going to show you is Paul McCartney album from 1993, and it's Off the Ground. Very pleased to get this. I've been chasing this for quite a long time. They don't come up very often, and when they do, it's a big ticket item. I was kind of watching it, seeing if the price would go down and they would come and someone would buy them, and then another one would appear, a couple of months later or whatever. And eventually I just kind of bit the bullet and pulled the trigger and went for it because I just wanted it. Now, this one that I've got is a very clean copy. This white border is very, very white. I hope that is sort of coming across in the video. The front cover of the sleeve is a bit of an odd one, to say the least. It's you got the feet of the band at the top, and that kind of distracts the eye away from how beautiful this picture is on the front of the sleeve. The back of the sleeve looks like this. I'll just stand up so you can see the track listing. If you're not familiar with it, you can pause the video if you want to read it, and some credits there at the bottom. It is a gatefold, and I'll show you that. So on this side, we've kind of got sepia pictures of the band. So we've got Hamish Stewart, Linda and Paul, and on this side we've got Robbie McIntosh, Wicks and Blair Cunningham. Now on here we've got the sort of snippets from the lyrics of the song Off the Ground, and on this side, and I'll stand up again so you can see this close up, we've got these very nice collages of the band. They're very nice indeed. The spine looks like this. Paul McCartney, Off the Ground, and the catalogue number there. So that is the sleeve. Now the album, it doesn't come in a polyline sleeve. Well, it's got the album has got an inner. So you've got a lyrics inner sleeve. Just looks like that. But the seller, he didn't include. He gave me a separate cover, but it's not a polyline sleeve, and I'll just come back to that in a minute. So the vinyl is very, very clean. Looks like that. We've got these custom labels on it. That is side 1, very, very nice, and that is side 2. There's a little bit of surface noise on the album, but it's really only in between the tracks on the dead wax. You don't really hear it when the album's playing, and it sounds just fantastic. Now, as far as polyline sleeves go, I just wanted to show you these that I'm using at the moment. These are made by a company called Spin Care, and I get these on Amazon, and they come in packets of 50 or 100, and there's something like it's about 20 quid for 50 and about 30 quid for 100. So I bought them. I bought 100 of them, and what I like about these is you put them in when you put the record in the sleeve like that, and they're slightly smaller than an inner sleeve, so you can kind of plot the record inside the polyline sleeve, inside the inner sleeve, which I like a lot. And then you can just get the album out without taking the the inner sleeve out. But there's something psychological, I think, about when there is an inner sleeve, of wanting to take the album out of the inner sleeve to play it, and then you kind of take the inner sleeve over to the sofa when you're listening to it, rather than having it as a separate thing. So I like to bung those polyline sleeves inside the inner sleeves because they fit really nicely. And well, that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not going to bang on about the polyline sleeves. Not really that important. But Off the Ground as an album, I always think of Off the Ground because I think it's an album that kind of divides Paul McCartney fans as to its merits. It kind of, to me, it feels like the little sister of Flowers in the Dirt, just like Pipes of Peace feels like the little sister of Tug of War, but not as good as its big sister, where you've got songs that were kind of recorded, some of the songs recorded at the same sessions of those two albums, but considered not good enough to be on Tug of War or Flowers in the Dirt, so they kind of go on the next album. So I think in terms of ranking Paul McCartney's albums, when I eventually get round to doing that, I see it Off the Ground as being in the lower echelons of Paul's solo albums. But I am very pleased to finally get Off the Ground on vinyl. Now, album number 3 is something that I've wanted for a really long time, and that is Let It Be Naked on vinyl. Now, there is a story attached to this album. There is always a story with me. Now, Mrs. Beatles Tone, she obviously listens to what I say in my videos, because I've never actually mentioned to her directly that I wanted this album. But when I did, I was interviewed on the Two Legs Paul McCartney podcast show. I think it was either the back end of last year or maybe the beginning of this year. And one of the questions that they asked me was, what albums were I still looking for to add to my collection? And I mentioned Let It Be Naked. Now, it was my birthday a couple of months ago, and she bought me this for my birthday. But so she was obviously listening to what I said on the Two Legs podcast thing. Now, she has never had an eBay account. She's never bought or sold anything on eBay, but she set up an account. She saw copies of this album were going for around 300 quid, and she wasn't going to pay that, and wouldn't want her to pay that. But she entered an auction and for it, and she won it. And she tells me that she didn't pay anywhere near that amount, but I don't want to ask her how much she did pay, because that would be rude, because it was a present. So I'm going to take her word for it that she got this at a bargain price. But I'm really happy to have Let It Be Naked. That is the back of the sleeve. And the spine is like that. The nice little apple there, the Beatles Let It Be Naked. Now, obviously, this is another album that divides fans about whether this or the official 1970 album is better. There's different elements that are better on both. This album certainly scores a win for having Don't Let Me Down on it, which the original doesn't have. So it comes with this lovely booklet, and this is immaculate. I'll just take you through it. That's the back of it there. Nice pictures there. Then we get a little introduction from Kevin Howlett, which goes on for a few pages. It says at the top, you can hardly see it because it's kind of in this grey print, but I'll read it to you. It says, "The kids of AD 2000 will understand what it was all about, and draw from the music much the same sense of well-being and warmth as we do today. For the magic of the Beatles is timeless and ageless." And ain't that the truth? Okay, so you've got this article written by Kevin Howlett with some pictures from the sessions. That's the end of his article. A lovely picture there of George. And then you get some extracts that were included in the original book that came with the Let It Be box set in 1970. Great picture of Ringo. I think we've seen some of these pictures in the Get Back book and the book that came with the Let It Be box set that we got in 2021. This is the centerfold, which is obviously the rooftop. I hadn't really realised that Paul had such terrible shoes on the rooftop concert, but he did. Great picture of John there with his hair blowing in the wind, and more sort of transcripts from that book that came with Let It Be. There's Paul. There's the track listing. And finally, that is the inside of the back cover of the book. So that's really great. The album does come in a polyline sleeve, and this is absolutely immaculate. This album, there is no surface noise on this at all, and it sounds absolutely fantastic. That is side 1. That is side 2, and you also get, if you've got the CD version of this, there's a second CD which has the Fly on the Wall documentary thing. That is the track listing of it. Some of it is conversation and some of it is the Beatles noodling about with various songs. It's a 7-inch single, but it plays at 33 speed. The B-side doesn't have a label on it, but it does. It's not just like an etch thing. It does play on side B as well. So that is Let It Be Naked. Really, really happy to finally get that on vinyl, and that's the 3rd album. So one more to go. So the final album that I'm going to show in this video is this album from 2005, Twin Freaks. Now, if you don't know anything about Twin Freaks, this is a dance remix album of some of Paul's, well-known tracks. Now, it's never come out on CD. It only ever came out on vinyl in 2005. It's a double album. I think it also may have come out as you could download it, but it's never been on CD. So I'd never ever owned this album. So I'm getting it here for the first time. It's brand new to me, and so very excited to get it for that reason. Now, if you've ever looked for this album, they say they don't come up very often on eBay, and when they do, they are pretty expensive. And I saw this at a fairly reasonable price a couple of weeks ago, and I just went for it because as I say, I've been after it for such a long time, and I've always shied away from the price, but I did get this at a good price, and I'm very happy to get it at that price. Now, if you don't know much about the album, I say it's dance remixes of some of Paul's well-known tracks by a guy called Freelance Hellraiser. That's the name of the DJ. His real name is Roy Kerr, which is much duller name. Sounds like the sort of bloke that would come and clear out the leaves from your gutter. So you kind of know why he went for Freelance Hellraiser as his stage name. Now, if you attended any of Paul's concerts in 2004, you may have heard some of this album, because he put together a set of dance remixes that were played over the PA at the 2004 gigs before Paul came on to do his set. I'm not sure if this whole album was played over the PA at those gigs, or some were added later, but it seems that most of this album was recorded in 2004. So that is the front cover. The paintings there done by Paul. That is the spine. There's no mention of Paul on the spine. It is on the Parlophone label, and that is the track listing for the album. I will read it out to you. So side one, you've got Really Love You from Flaming Pie, then Long Haired Lady Reprise, which is really nice. Some really nice bits of isolated vocals from that song. You know, that song's got fantastic harmonies in it, and those are isolated in the track. Track 3 is Rinse the Raindrops from Driving Rain. Now, Driving Rain, that's a 10.5-minute workout. On this album, it's a much more palatable 3.5 minutes. Side 2 starts off with Dark Room, which is a brilliant remix. Then you get Live and Let Die, which is absolutely dreadful. And then you get Temporary Secretary, which is as average as the original. Side 3, What's That You're Doing from Tug of War, Oh Woman, Oh Why, and Mumbo from Wildlife. And then side D opens with a track called Lalula, which is going to be the curio from this album, because it's not actually a released Paul McCartney track, but the remix is kind of based around that guitar riff from Old Siam Sir from Back to the Egg. You then get Coming Up, and the album finishes with a remix of Maybe I'm Amazed. Now, I've only played this album once, so I haven't really got into it just yet. But I really like how it sounds. It sounds absolutely fantastic, as dance records kind of tend to. They're very bassy and very sort of kick drummy, and it's a great sounding record. The gatefold looks like that. Again, the painting's done by Paul, and you just get the track listing here with the songwriting credits down the side. So onto the vinyl. It does come in a polyline sleeve. This is the first album. It is 180 gram vinyl. Looks like that. That's side 1. That is side 2. This is really immaculate, this album. No surface noise whatsoever. Just sounds really great. That is the second LP with a slightly different label there. And that is Twin Freak. So again, really pleased to get it. Now, I think now I have everything that I want from Paul McCartney on vinyl. The only things I don't have on vinyl are the first 2 Fireman albums and the classical stuff. And to be honest, I don't really need those on vinyl. So I think my Paul McCartney vinyl album collection is now complete. So very pleased to finally get twin freaks. So as always, it goes over to you. If you want to tell me anything at all about any of these albums that I've shown in the video, please do so down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. You know, I read all your comments and I will respond to all of them as well. Okay, that is pretty much it from me. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks very much for watching. I hope maybe you've seen something that you haven't seen before. I will see you all very soon. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.